Okay. This isn't gonna work. This is not gonna. Man. It's hot. It's hot. Really hot. Okay. Hey guys. Welcome back to Afternoon Read. I am your plague doctor, Miss Linda, and today we are going to start part 2 of Dark Lord by J.B. Thomson. And as always, we are reading this with the permission of Scholastic. So let's get started. Part 2, Chapter 1. You'll be starting 7th grade. That's what you think. It will not be long before you find that this year has been redesignated as Year 1, or Year of our Dark Lord 1, and so forth onward into the never-ending future of my reign of iron and shadows. Dirk had been dropped off at school a short while ago, and taken to see the principal, Mr. Grousehammer, who was going to register him at the school and talk him through what was expected of him. Or so Purejoy the Guardian had said. So far it had been a boring litany of bureaucracy, rules, and what punishments he could expect if he broke them. He was glad it was almost over. Mr. Grousehammer simply raised his eyes and sighed, stroking his scraggly beard like a caricature of an evil villain. Yes, of course. They've told me about you. But I'm not going to put up with your nonsense for long, my boy. This is White Shield School, and we do things differently here. Dedication, efficiency, alacrity, discipline. That's our motto, and you'll do well to follow them, young man, or it's the detention room for you. Don't you worry. I'm not afraid to dish out punishment when it's needed. Not like those politically correct do-gooders from social services. Anyway, your first class will be English. It's just there, across the corridor. Room 2A. Here's an exercise book, mostly for homework. See on the cover? I've filled it in for you. Dirk glanced at it. It said English. Dirk Lloyd, 7th grade. Teacher, Miss Baylegs. Grousehammer said, "All right then, run along now, off you go." Dirk stared at Mr. Grousehammer, unsure how to react to him. He reminded Dirk of someone he knew, but couldn't think of who. What with his talk of motto, discipline, punishment, and the like, as if he were some kind of bearded tyrant. And what did politically correct mean? Also, he just ordered him to run along. An unacceptable method of addressing him. But he was powerless to do anything about it. Perhaps a different tactic was in order, so Dirk tried a smile. Mr. Grousehammer actually flinched for a moment, before recovering his composure, and waved Dirk out of the room. As he left, Dirk heard him muttering something about Hannibal and Lecter. Ooh. Wondering what he meant, Dirk crossed the hall. Grousehammer was going to be a problem, he could tell. Typical megalomaniacal authoritarian type, with a compulsion to control and command. There was room for only one of those around here, and it wasn't going to be Grousehammer. Without thinking, Dirk swept open the door to room 2A and strode in. A human female of middling years was talking to an unruly crowd of about 30 or so human children, who looked more like a battalion of ill-trained goblins than pupils, all dressed in their absurd white shield uniforms, just like the ones he'd been forced to put on this morning. The annoying tie thing was already chafing his neck like a hangman's noose. They all turned to look at him in surprise as he declared, "I am the great Dirk. You may call me Master." The children burst into laughter, much to his annoyance. How disrespectful of them. The teacher looked a little annoyed as well. Perhaps she recognized him for what he was, and would punish them for laughing at him. But no, she turned her ire on him instead. "Where are your manners? Don't you know you should knock before entering a room?" she said icily. Dirk was taken aback. Knock? What did she mean? Knock the door down with a gate shatter spell? Seemed a bit excessive. Even for him, he thought. She went on. "Now, introduce yourself and sit down over there," she said, pointing to a desk at the back of the classroom. Dirk scowled. He was really finding it hard to get used to the fact that he wasn't in charge. He sighed and said, "As you command, Mrs. Battleaxe, my name is..." For some reason, the unruly mob of child goblins dissolved into laughter again. The woman looked even angrier. "It's not pronounced Battleaxe, it's pronounced Bait Lakes. Rhymes with Great Lakes." For goodness sake! The look of annoyance on her face faded into resignation. It had dawned on Miss Baitelakes that Battleaxe would probably be her nickname at the school forever now. "Oh, just sit down, Dirk." Dirk ambled over to his desk. He recognized his fellow prisoner of the Pure Guardians, Christopher, sitting next to him. Christopher nodded at him and whispered, "Welcome to school, Dirk," and gave him a friendly smile. Dirk eyed him suspiciously. What was it he wanted, being nice to him like that? Seated on the other side of him was a young human girl. He barely noticed her as he took in the rest of the class. Typical bunch of worthless humans, he thought. But then his attention was drawn back to the girl. Ooh. The way she dressed seemed all about trying to get around the constraints of the absurd school uniform. And he liked that. Aww. Her hair was dyed jet black, and dark black stuff had been smeared carefully around her eyes. She wore curious jewelry that seemed to bear runes and other magical glyphs, and her nails were also black. There was an interesting silver device through one of her earlobes. Some kind of talisman, perhaps? Her skin was very white and pale, and she wore stumpy black boots with silver buckles. Her lips were unnaturally red, as if stained with blood. In fact, if it wasn't broad daylight, he would have taken her for a vampire. Perhaps she was, and found some way to withstand the burning rays of the sun. He'd worked with vampires before. In fact, he once had an entire regiment of vampires, mounted on nightmares, that had served him well. Until Viraconis the vampire hunter had destroyed them all in the Battle of Night Made Day. Perhaps she could be useful to him. He leaned over and said, "Greetings, child of night. I am Dirk." She looked at him in surprise, as did the rest of the class. He realized he hadn't lowered his voice, and he'd interrupted Mrs. Baitelakes, or Battleaxe, who'd been going on about something tedious. The teacher glared at him, and he fell silent, feeling somewhat confused with the whole situation. A bit later, the vampire girl leaned over and whispered, "Hi, I'm Susan. You can call me Suze." Child of the night. I like that. She smiled at him. Dirk nodded graciously, as if taking a compliment from one of his servitors. After class was over, an interminable time of droning tedium for Dirk, he and Christopher were standing together outside the classroom. Christopher was explaining things to Dirk. Yes, every day during the school year we have to sit in rooms like that, and the teachers tell us things we have to learn. That was English. There's also math, social studies, language arts, science, and PE. Then we get home, we have to do more stuff called homework. Dirk's jaw dropped. He stood aghast at the thought of the endless hours of tedium ahead of him. This was like some kind of never-ending, hideous torture. Days of droning drudgery appeared before him in his mind's eye, stretching away forever. Not even he, a past master at inventing cruel and unusual punishments, could have come up with something like this. Then the human girl called Suze came up to them and said, "Hi, Chris. Is this the one staying at your place?" She looked Dirk up and down appraisingly. "Yup," said Chris. "And is he, well, the psychologist and everything?" "Oh, yes, completely," said Chris empathetically. Oh, my goodness. "Cool," said Suze. "Tell me, child of the night, how can one such as you withstand the bright, burning rays of the pain-giving sun? Has there been some breakthrough in vampiric lore among the clans of the undead?" Dirk asked. Sue stared at him for a moment, as if not quite sure whether or not he was mocking her. But then she laughed out loud. "You're being serious, aren't you?" "I love it," she said. "Told you," said Christopher. "Of course I'm serious. Why wouldn't I be? Surely you are a vampire, are you not?" Suze laughed some more, grinning ear to ear. "No, I'm not a real vampire, fudge boy. I'm a goth." "A goth? What is this goth thing?" said a bemused Dirk. "And what is a fudge boy?" Sue stopped laughing and looked at him as if he were crazy, a look Dirk was getting very used to. "You really don't know, do you?" she said. "No, I do not. I am new to this plane, and there is much I need to learn. However, I should warn you that it is only a matter of time before I subjugate your world under the heels of my all-conquering boots." Christopher and Suze glanced at his white sneakers and burst into laughter. "You're hilarious," said Suze, wiping tears from her eyes. "I like you." Dirk was flabbergasted. She liked him. How extraordinary. People didn't like him. They were supposed to fear and hate him, to feel terror at his coming, to bow down before him, like the gazelle before the lion. Not like him. So, what is this goth thing, then? Explain, Nightwalker. Again, this made Suze grin all over. She said, "Well, goths are people who follow a particular fashion style. But it has to be gothic, Some Victorian-looking stuff, horror movies, maybe a vampire look, which I'm so pleased you've noticed. And a particular kind of music. Heavy metal sometimes, or grunge, or some indie bands, and death rock. But mostly for me, straight-up goth bands like Angel Bile and the Demon Fires. Goths are kind of, different, like outsiders. We don't fit in with normal people, or normies, as I call them." Dirk latched onto something she said. "Death rock? A rock of death? What is this rock? And how can I bind its powers to my will?" Chris and Suze were laughing again. No, said Suze. Rock music, fudge boy, she said, playfully giving him a light slap on the arm. Death rock is a return to the old classics that started the whole goth music scene, like Susie and the Banshees, and the Sisters of Mercy, who are way cool, by the way, even if they are kind of old. Dirk looked away, completely stunned for a moment. She had actually laid hands on him. Nobody laid hands on him, ever. And she called him a fudge boy, twice. Presumably it was some kind of compliment or statement of worship. Possibly, or maybe not. He wasn't sure. He felt anger rise in him, and he raised his hands to cast the raiment of the cockroach spell. A brief period as an insignificant insect would teach her proper respect. But he thought better of it, and managed to overcome his anger, forcing it down. He lowered his arms. He had no power anyway, and he couldn't afford to alienate these two, his only real interface with this strange new world, even if they were only children. The adults simply thought he was crazy, or treated him like a different child. These two, although they might laugh at him, at least treated him like an equal. He was coming to realize that he was going to have to learn new ways of dealing with things, and this Suze could be useful to him. So, for the time being, he would have to live without the level of respect he was used to. Best to continue as if nothing untoward was going on. Dirk said, I see. You mean they are musicians? And angel bile? That would make for a powerful spell component, I'm sure, if correctly harnessed to the dark side. As for a demon, fire, I already have one of those burning in the catacombs beneath my iron tower of despair. No, they're just bands too, laughed Suze. Bands? Like bands of orcs or something? Said Dirk, still confused. This caught further laughter. No, said Chris. They're musicians. A music band. Ah, I see. Musicians. What a shame. Still, this goth fashion sounds interesting. I, too, am an outsider. Also, I like the look. Much more in keeping with my own taste. Perhaps I shall become a goth, too. What do you think, Christopher and Suze? That'd be great, said Suze, smiling. She looked genuinely pleased, which was strange. Most people, even orcs, no, even powerful vampire lords, would be a little uneasy about him, a dark lord, joining their group. But I suppose to this human girl, I am just another human boy, thought Dirk. You better check out the music first in case you don't like it, said Christopher. I've got a Morty clip on my phone you can listen to, though it's not really goth music, but it's sort of related. Oh, no, not Morty, said Suze, raising her eyes to heaven. Much too heavy metal for me. It's not goth music, but yeah, see what you think. Christopher took out his cell phone and a loud thrashing noise, like the sound of rusty armor being scraped and cleaned by 100 goblin slaves, intermixed with the bursting rhythms of the dragon's heartbeat, came out of the little device. Catchy, said Dirk. It reminds me of home. Chris smiled and said, Here, there's a little video clip. Look. Pictures formed of the small surface of the phone. Aha, thought Dirk to himself. It was more than just a voice teleporter, but also a scrying crystal. Except it wasn't a crystal, of course, but one of these technical machine things these humans seem so good at. According to the encyclopedia he'd been reading, he had to strain his eyes a little, but he could just about make out the pictures. But then Dirk gaped in astonishment. Standing in front of a few undead, or perhaps demons, was Gargan, his most loyal retainer. And he was singing. He didn't know Gargan could sing. By the 9 netherworlds, it is Gargan himself, yelled Dirk. My lieutenant, Dread Gargan, the hero of Limbs, captain of the legions of Dread. This scrying device must somehow be accessing my own world. What kind of magic is this? Look, it's Gargan! No, that's Morty, the lead singer. It's from a concert in Finland. They're Finnish, you know? Dirk spoke heatedly. Finland? Finnish? Some kind of land beneath the sea developed by fish people? What are you saying? Gargan isn't some wretched merman, or an undying, or something. He's the offspring of the foul and unholy union of a demon lord and a lich queen. He's my most loyal servant. He hates the sea. Ah, Gargan, I need you. Wait, is Gargan Dirk's son? Oh. Suze and Christopher started laughing again. Dirk glared at them. It didn't have the desired effect, all-consuming terror, like in the old days, but at least they tried to stifle their laughter. Sorry, Dirk, sorry. You're just so funny sometimes. That's why we like you. Anyway, Finland is in Europe, and it's full of people just like here. It's not under the sea at all, just a regular place. Well, sort of. And said Christopher, grinning again. And he's just a man dressed up to look like that, Dirk. Though I like the lich demon thing. Sounds cool. No, it is him. It must be. He's the spitting image of him, replied Dirk. You must have found a way to get to this world on his own. Made a mistake. He must have found a way to get into this world on his own, which is surprising. He's not known for his initiative, just blind obedience. Still, he has done well. He must have put a rescue mission together. It's obvious he's managed to get here without suffering the catastrophic body change that I have. We must find him. Take me to him immediately. Sue shook her head. Can't be done, I'm afraid. He's miles and miles away, and we've got no way of getting there. We're only kids. Actually, said Chris, there's a Morty concert in town in a couple of months. We could get tickets and go see them. Excellent. That is good, Christopher, very good. If you can arrange this, you will be rewarded. Christopher looked a little miffed at that. I don't want to reward Dirk. This is just normal stuff that friends do for each other, he said. Friends. That is not a word I'm very familiar with. But I have a vacancy for a lick-spittle, if that's what you mean, said Dirk in his most imperious voice. Dirk seemed surprised when they both burst out laughing again. Then Suze noticed his ring. Oh, wow, that's cool. Where did you get it? It's really goth, Dirk said. It's not cool or even cold. It's my great ring, my ring of power. I forged it a millennia ago in the fires of the world's heart deep beneath the ground, but now it has lost all its power. It's worthless. Here, take it. He pulled it off his finger and gave it to Suze. She grinned and actually jumped up and down with excitement. Odd little creature, thought Dirk to himself, but amusing. Suze held it up to the light. What's that on the front? Some kind of signet symbol, like a skull or a face? And those carvings on the inside, like runes or something? They look great, she said as she slipped the ring onto her finger. It fits perfectly. It goes well with my bracelets. She held her hand out to admire it. The stylized face is my coat of arms, my seal. The runes are ancient, though. The language of magic itself, from before the world was made, said Dirk. Well, my world, that is. I have no idea about this strange place. Cool, said Christopher. Yeah, nice, said Suze. The runes looked a bit like this. Oh, yeah, here, let me bring this up here. Do you see them? Okay, good. The The seal on the front of the ring looked like this. Let me, just in case you didn't see. There it is. Suze loved it. Thank you so much, Dirk. Thank you, she said, and she leaned forward and gave him a little kiss on the cheek. Gross. Dirk coiled for a moment. As far as he could remember, he'd never been kissed before. Granted, he couldn't remember all the way back to his beginning, but he certainly hadn't been kissed for several thousand years or so. His face was getting hot. Your face is all red, said Christopher. He's blushing, said Suze, giggling. Blushing? What is this blushing? Have you laid some kind of curse upon me with the kiss of the vampire? Dirk said accusingly. This only made Suze giggle even more. I'll tell you about it later, said Christopher. Suze reached into her backpack. Dirk noticed there were words written on it. It said, Angel Bile, Demons of Destruction Tour, in red lettering that dripped blood. Nice bag, said Dirk without thinking. Thank you, Dirk, said Suze. She handed him a book. Every gift deserves a gift in return. This is a diary I just bought, but I haven't started it yet. It's a goth diary, of course, but I'm sure you'll like it. You can write down all your thoughts and dreams in it. The book was black. That was good. On the front, it was an embossed figure of what looked like the Death himself. Underneath it said, The Grim Reaper Diary. It reminded Dirk of some of the books he used to have in the dark library in his iron tower, like the Book of Bringing Forth the Dead, or his first edition copy of The Ultimate Necronomicon. Thank you, Suze, it's beautiful, said Dirk, genuinely pleased. This was the best thing anyone had ever given him so far on his travels in this strange land. It's cold. I mean cool, he said. This drew more laughter from Chris and Suze. Then the bell rang for the next class. On the way into the classroom, Dirk whispered in Christopher's ear, What is this cool thing, and what is this fudge term she uses? Presumably it's some kind of honorific? Christopher laughed. Cool is slang for great or good, and fudge is, well, it's named after low grades. You know, F for fail, U for unsatisfactory, or D grade, and so on. Basically, she was calling you stupid. Dirk sighed. There was so much to learn in this strange place. Later, when he was taken back to the Pure Guardian jailers after school, he sat on his bed and wrote in his diary for the first time. He decided to call it My Black Diary of Doom. And this was his first entry. February 1st. I have lost my powers, my armies of goblin kind, my legions of dread, my squadrons of winged demons are gone. The ring of power is dead, and I have given it up. My cloak of endless night is worthless. The helm of the host of Hades is lost, or destroyed along with my Yvonne's staff of storms. The white wizard's spell has regressed me into the body of a child, but the senile old fool has made a glaring oversight. He has left my mind unaffected. I still possess my dark intellect, my genius for stratagems, my arts of alchemy, artifice, and persuasion, and my capacity for infinite patience. A few days later, he wrote another entry. February 7th. The nightmares are getting worse. I have at least one a week. The white hunter is closing in. I know it wants to hunt me down and rip out my heart and eat it. What can I do to protect myself? And then another one. He was beginning to rather enjoy keeping a diary, especially when he could vent some anger. February 8th. Today I received a report card from those insufferably arrogant and interminably irritating humans they called teachers. As if they could teach me anything. I, the Dark Lord, master of the legions of dread and sorcerer supreme. It is I who should be teaching them the value of subservience, of obedience to the will of a superior being for a start, teaching them to grovel before me like the lick-spittle dogs they are. I have attached the report here in my diary as a perpetual reminder of the need for revenge. Oh, let's see Dirk's report card. Here we go. You ready? There it is. Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? Okay. So he has, this is for social studies. So for knowledge of period studied, he achieves consistently high standard overall. Historical inquiry and skills, consistently high overall. Recording and presentation of work, satisfactory progress overall. Effort varies. Teacher's comment. Dirk is a difficult pupil. Certain areas of history simply do not interest him, like social history or the Industrial Revolution. However, wars, massacres, atrocities, and political infighting fascinate him. He is the best pupil I have seen when it comes to military history. His presentation is poor because he often hands in his homework in novel ways. A replica Roman helmet with a blood-stained gash and candy brains dribbling out is all very well, but I had asked for a written report on Caesar's Gallic Wars. February 13th. I have come up with a suitable plan of vengeance for this report card business. I shall steal a blank report card and fill it in from my point of view. No, wait. From the point of view of all the inmates of the school, the pupils, as if they were making a report on the absurd antics of our teachers, instead of the other way around. Especially that tyrannical fool, Grasshammer. Yes, a report on the principal. I will then make many copies and put them all over the school. They shall rue the day they dare to judge me. Just you wait and see. Mwahaha. February 14th. Even more galling than the report card debacle, that accursed madman, Mr. Banks, the human children calling him Sandy, the geography teacher, gave us a special project to draw up a map of the town we live in, or in my case, been exiled to. Anyway, I completed the task to a level of excellence beyond the abilities of any of my classmates. But that dimwit Sandy still gave me detention for it. Why can these fools not recognize genius when they see it? Here is the map, as proof of my genius, and the cruel injustice of my punishment. Well, not really cruel, more of an inconvenience. These milksop humans don't have any idea how to truly punish someone. Okay, so let's look at the map. That's the map that he drew. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Okay. Oh! Alright. Thus ends chapter 1 of part 2. So I will see you guys next week with chapter 2 of part 2.